the people that are going to win, unfortunately, but truthfully, are the people that are not only just the not get rich quick. The people, if you started a business today, I'd be happy. Like, I know you're seeing all these like millions. I'd be happy with 5, 10K a month, man. And then the rest is going into brand. It's never mattered before, it matters more than ever now. Community, content, that's what's going to get you your conversions. So we call it in here, we call it C4, content, community, conversations, then you get conversions.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? Guess who it is? Your favorite person in the whole wide world. We got an amazing fight coming up today. Not really, but man, we got a great guest. I don't know, this guy's like the Superman of business. And you know what? Before we started, I asked him, hey, what all are you doing right now? And I kind of regret asking that question because he was like this. And I'm like, what the? And the thing is, you know, I meet entrepreneurs in my life where I ask them what they're doing and they'll tell me 17 things, but like 16 of them are just on Excel and they're not really doing anything. So it's just impressive to hear, but it's not impressive to see. But when I spoke to our guest, like each of these things he's doing, they're like 8-figure brands, if not more. And so it's like, wow, that's a lot. So we're going to have a really fun conversation that's going to tip into like lifestyle, how you manage all these businesses. But then the big thing we're going to talk about is where this industry of digital world is going. Him and I, we almost started to get into it. We were jiving on something and I thought we should save it for the podcast. We have, you know, his predictions line up with mine. And we'll talk about why. So right now, the market's still frothy with webinars and 997 offers and what we call mid-ticket, right? You could call high ticket, it's like mid to high ticket. I don't know. I've been kind of looking over my shoulder a little bit on those a little bit, just thinking, what's going on? So we're going to talk to Los about that today. That's it. I let the cat out of the bag. Mr. Los Silva is going to be joining us. So before I introduce you to him, what's up, man? How are you? So before I bring you on though, man, I want to tell everyone how we met. And I think it's a cool story. So, and before I even do that, remember onicpodcast.com, click subscribe below, hit like, do all that fun stuff, help us boost up on the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. All right. Now that I got that out of the way. I am, I've known about Josh and we lovingly call him Josh Snow because I cannot say his last name for the life of me. And anyone who doesn't know Josh, he's the founder of the Snow brand. And this thing is doing, I don't know, 200 million or so a year. It's nuts. I went to Best Buy the other day, saw it there. It's cool to be able to know like, hey, I know the person, like I have a cell phone number who created that brand. So I met Josh like a year ago because as you guys might know watching this podcast, I was starting an e-com brand. And I wanted to get some advice from him. So then Josh and I started kind of talking to each other more. And in that time, my e-com brand is starting to take off. And I'm starting to see like, oh my God, this thing could be way bigger than we had originally thought. So I put this Facebook post out and I was like, hey guys, really trying to learn more about how to build direct to consumer e-commerce brands. Very specific. You got to not drop shipping, blah, blah, blah. No, this is like, I buy massive inventory, I stock it, I build a brand, I want to get, and so you should see, you can still see my personal Facebook profile, all the names that are recommended. And it was just like, Los Silva. It was like overwhelming. And I'm like, who is this person? Like, what the heck? And then I happened to speak to Josh and Josh is like, you got to talk to my business partner, Los Silva. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is freaking everywhere. And so someone text connected us. We had a call, and I can say that's the beginning of what looks like it's going to be an awesome friendship in the future. We've just been jiving with each other. So, Los, thanks so much. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to talk about everything you've done, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So everyone, he's built an agency. He's built e-commerce brands. He's now building a brokerage right now. He's taken partnerships. He's done influencer marketing. He's been published by the likes of Ryan Dice. I mean, we're talking about a full-blown, he has had vision and foresight from all the different parts of our industry. So whatever predictions he makes and what he says today, I would really take home. Los, I got to just ask you a fun question because I'm sure there's a story behind this and I want to know I want you to get into your story, where you come from and all that. But dude, I went looking you up on LinkedIn. I could not find you until someone was like, it's Los Hustle on LinkedIn. So tell that story, because that word, that I feel like the word hustle, you got like, it creates interesting emotions in people. But yeah, tell me the backstory to that, and tell me a little bit more about where you came from.
Yeah, so the backstory to that is I used to have an Instagram account with like 500,000 followers, and it was called It's Los. It's Los. Just go to It's Los, Insta, easy, right? I changed my name to, my name's Carlos. But if you Google like Carlos Silva, either people that have been in jail, Spanish rappers, or athletes come out. And it's not a marketer, right? So I was like, what's the best way to SEO on this thing? So I changed my name to Los because it was easy, it was more memorable. And then when my account got hacked and stolen, I couldn't get at Los, I couldn't get Los Silva. So I was like, I don't know, like Los Hustle. And so we went with Los Hustle. That brand ended up growing. That Instagram account's at almost 400,000 followers again. And we just changed everything. People Google me like that. People search me like that, which is funny because we're actually trying to buy Los Silva, because I think the hustle thing, you know, it's served me well for a while, but I'm not really a hustler. Like, I'm not in the hustle stage of my life. I'm in the more operations and scaling side of my life and building more lifestyle freedom and things like that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times no one even knows my last name. It's been like Los Hustle, Los Hustle, Los Hustle, or just Los. So that's why my LinkedIn has that.
You know, man, that's really interesting. I definitely want to get, I feel like this question might even lead to your story, but you said something that, again, this is probably the 18th thing you've said to me in the last 2 weeks where I'm like, damn, we're like on the same wavelength. You called it, and I quote you, hustle stage. Talk about that, because I'll throw my 2 cents in, but what do you mean by that? What is it? What are these stages, and where does hustle stage fall in?
So when I started in this industry, I didn't know much about it. I used to sell video projectors on eBay at 20 years old in Crown Victorias. I figured that there was a good arbitrage margin between those things. And then I started selling speakers, just anything I could get in arbitrage on eBay. And to the point where like that was the largest Bose distributor, Bose speakers in the United States at like 21 years old, just from eBay flipping. And then after that, I started eBay did like an algorithm thing to me. I didn't know what that was. So I just stopped. I had a lot of inventory. So I started an actual construction company with like home automation and stuff. I worked with Disney, House of Blues. Like by like 25, that was almost, I think we did 800 grand, like biggest year. That was like the biggest I had ever done back then. And then 2008 hit, the economy crashed, and I had to get back into stuff. So I started doing digital. I'm a good negotiator, and I'm always looking for arbitrage. So I started doing like display media buying. Back in the day, it was different than like native. You would negotiate rates with people and stuff like that. And so I made a course and I put it on Udemy. I didn't know any about these things, right? I just want to make like $10,000. That was like it for me at that point. I from losing in my first business, I just couldn't fathom getting big again or doing anything good again. Ryan Dice bought the course. I knew who he was. I looked up to him at the time. I immediately emailed him and I said, hey, would you want to publish me? Because that's when he was doing Ezra, Kate, and all those people, right? He was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Flew out, published. We launched the course called The Whale Method that Perry wrote. It did really good for a few years. And then Brian was looking for a position for a CEO for a brand called Startup Jungle. I became that CEO, so we partnered on that. That business didn't come to full fruition where we wanted it to go, but we've stayed great friends. And I learned the ins and outs of like a 8-figure at that time business, right? And so from then on, I was going to masterminds, I was scaling my business. And the hustle comes from, I was doing well. It was never enough, but it was not enough because I was always grinding, going to these events. And it was always like a dick measuring contest. Like, well, I started getting very insecure because I was doing 100, 200,000 a month, nothing crazy, but someone was doing 5. And I was like, man, like I'd go home more insecure than I would like trying to share,? And so for years, I was chasing other people's dreams and other people's lifestyles and other people's everything because I was not trying to fulfill anything of mine until I finally, like one day I realized that that's what I was doing. And I stopped and I was like, I don't care if Anik is making $1 trillion, if anybody's doing whatever, I'm going to focus on my stuff And that's when I finally started to grow out of that phase, get into the more consistent 8-figure business mark. And then I realized one day, okay, now that I'm here, what's next? What do I want to really achieve? And for me, my dad passed away. He actually took his own life, unfortunately. And it made me reflect a lot on like my phase of life, what I want to do. And what matters to me is definitely money. Love money. It's fun, but it's what it does. It creates memories and it creates time. So my business partners are my best friends. Like we have 5 to 8 vacations a year with these guys. And I do business with people that I love and cherish. Those are the people I have fun with. And I build everything I can to spend time with my family. And now I'm not working, and I'm trying to teach everyone that I work with. We're not about the grind and the hustle. You know, we have a theory here in our offices. It's called impact over effort. I don't care how much you're clicking the buttons. I don't care how hard you're grinding. You can make a lot of impact in a little bit of time if you just take a step back and frame the system and the process that you want to achieve, and then go put that effort in instead of having to just kill yourself for things. And I want to, that's why I'm trying to get rid of the hustle name, because I want to kind of be the anti-hustle. Like I think that it didn't serve me emotionally, strategically, tactically, as much as I thought, but it was just this grind mentality that we are in this industry, you know, going to masterminds, it always becomes like, who's got the newest car and everything. And we wanted to build, I wanted to build something like, well, who wants to go on vacation together? Who wants to like share some secrets, and like who wants to like be open and honest with each other instead? You know what I mean?
I do. So let's unpack that a little bit more, because I'm going through a very similar journey myself. And one of the biggest reasons why I've been very vocally talking about how much I don't like, I'm going to try to use softer words, Facebook. And why I'm very, very, very selectively using Facebook is because of exactly what you just said. You cannot scroll on Facebook for more than 10 seconds without wanting to throw up, in my opinion, because you're going to get either of two things. You've got either Facebook jamming people in your face that are obviously saying things that are going to trigger you, because Facebook has figured that out, or you're going to get the marketer that's like, look at my $32,000 in 5-second trade, or look at my this, or look at my that. And having been around this industry for 20 years, I know that that's 1 in 50 for them. And I know like the whole story, and it just sickens me to know like that continues. It's annoying. But I also want to, I'm also in this phase right now where, so my wife and I are expecting our first child. So it's like this whole like, okay, you know, I want to be present for that. I want to be there for that. Now I'm also very fortunate, and I like to express that I'm in a place now in my life where I can make choices. I have choices. I think wealth and success brings the ability to have choices. And so when I come out now and I say, yeah, I don't need to hustle. You know, it's the truth, actually. I really don't. I can make investments and do well. But I also feel like that's a privilege that I got because of the hustle, right? So I have this interesting thing where I want to tell my students like, hey, those who are anti-hustle, always remember at one point they probably were hustle and it did serve them. And it led to, that's why you said hustle stage. And I'm like, I kind of feel like in every entrepreneur's life, that's still important, right? Or am I wrong? Like, can you know?
No, I think you need it. I think you need it. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't intense, and you know, it still serves me, that mentality of like, I've lost businesses, I've bought businesses out of things, like I've done the whole thing, right? And that hustle always brings me, like when the time is dark, like it brings you that security. Like I will never be not rich. I can never not be a millionaire. Like it's impossible. I don't know how not to now, but it's because of that, right? Like before you're always like struggling, you're stressing, like, well, how can I make money? Now it's like, what do I need to do? Because it's so easy because you hustled and you learned so many things that once you have that confidence, it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Everything can go away tomorrow. I'll be fine because you're not a hustler anymore. You're an entrepreneur.
And I love that you said that, and I want everyone who's listening to set that stage. There is a hustle period. Now that doesn't mean you never sleep and that you grind yourself to an oblivion. It just means you put the hours in, you deal with the pain, you have more losses. But there is also a point at which you switch out of that, and I think life will naturally smack you upside the head when it's time for that. It did with me. And so I want everyone to understand, you know, and I always connect it to this. Anyone who hasn't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant, life-changing book, completely changed my whole perspective. And he walks you through, Robert Kiyosaki walks you through from employee to self-employed to business owner to investor. And I'll tell you, in all of that, my most stressful part of my life was a business owner. Because I had all these employees, that's stressful. But I'm now in my migration to investor. I'm right in that moment. But everyone, it's really difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's very difficult to go from employee to investor, right? So you kind of got to go through those steps. So that's just important to hear from, a couple of guys who will talk about life in a different way. Just remember, we did it. we went through all of the grunt. Killer story, dude. What were you doing before? You said, so you went right into it. 20 years old, you went into doing eBay.
I had a job.
That's awesome. Do you mind me asking, how old are you now? Like, so how long, you 35?
I'm 40.
40. Okay. So we're similar in age too. So let's talk about, let's get right into it. I mean, right now you said, you called yourself an integrator before we started talking, and you said, hey, listen, I'm the kind of guy that I see. So I'm the exact opposite. I'm a visionary. I can't integrate for the life of me. I see big picture. And then the minute people start asking me the specifics, my eyes cross over and I'm looking for you. I'm like, where's the guy who can take my nonsense and translate it? So give me the difference. What is an integrator, which is what you label yourself, and what other types of people are there out there?
So there's a book called Rocket Fuel, which it talks about visionaries and integrators. Makes you take a test, all this stuff. And so
what's it called, sorry?
It's called Rocket Fuel.
Rocket
Fuel.
And
it explains, the entire book is about visionaries and integrators. So a visionary is someone like yourself who's like, hey, I got this idea. It's going to be a huge idea. We're going to make everything big. There's no details inside of that, right? Just like, you just know it's going to work. You just have the process. You might have the strategy, et cetera. But like in the intricacies and the little nuances, you're like, well, I don't know about that. Like, someone else is going to have to help me, right? Because a visionary is also quick to be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste that kind of time. Boom, boom, and move. An integrator kind of fills in those details in those spots, right? And so I actually didn't know I was an integrator until a few years ago, because one of the businesses that I have, it's called SVG. What we do is we it's a service agency, but then it has another division where like we basically partner with you. We partner with you in an LLC. We own the business and we're building a brand together. It just doesn't have my name on it. So the funnels, the operations, the customer support, masterminds, events, whatever it is, salespeople, hiring, training, all that stuff, like we do it, right? That's why we own it. And as people were introducing me to other people, are like, oh, dude, this is the best integrator I've ever met. And I retook like certain tests, and I realized that I'm a good mix of like, I have visionary in me. I can see how to build an 8-figure business simply, or 6-7, whatever the case. But I also have like good, like, okay, and these are the steps, and this is the people, and this is the process. And so how I hire now is I hire integrators below me to get him even more into the nuances. So I can sit with like a Josh or like a Kent, who are my business partners, and I can say, okay, I see what you want to do. Here's what we're going to do. Here's where we're going to start. Here's who I'm going to hire. This is what's going to happen. So it's very, if you want to ever think about getting a co-founder or a partner in something, it's very important that you don't necessarily get the exact same person like you. I am blessed to be pretty similar, but opposite enough to be a support system to the people that I'm partners with. And I think that that's how you build long-term relationships. And you don't have that like quick hit of like, oh man, it just didn't work out because you're two alphas doing the same thing, not wanting to do the detailed stuff. That's where problems arise,
Would you say Josh is a visionary?
200%.
Okay. So at Snow, because one thing I've always wanted to ask Josh, and I'm going to have him on later, is like, why is he always so available? I'm like, you run a $200 million a year company. Why are you always like, why do you text me back within 5 minutes? And, I can have calls with you. But does he have powerful integrators working with him on that brand?
100%. And he's a great leader. And he's taught me something. The dude's only 29, right? So like, he's way younger than me, but as we've become partners for a few years now, and we have a lot of brands together now, he started like making me lazier, essentially a better integrator. He's like, Los, we don't need to do that. Just less work, more money. I'm like, well, how do we do less work, but make more money? It's people. So it's peoples and processes. And so I get better at people and processes. So we can be like, well, we can do this and this, but don't worry, you're not even involved. And so that's kind of how that system works.
That's brilliant. I want to talk a little bit more about that too. But I personally did not know this distinction until about maybe two years ago. I think the realization happened, and I look back and there's one company that I had. Oh man, it could have taken off. That was a company, the mission of which the world needs still till this day. And that's exactly why it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. I can't say it failed because it got to a good place, but it didn't do what it was supposed to. It was because I was playing both roles. I was playing visionary and integrator, and I suck. And it created a lot of confusion. And there was just there's me and there's the team. And there was this, I see the gaping hole now in the middle, right? I should not be talking to that team. I'm going to confuse it, because I'm going to come here with this and, this is what we're going to do. And then I'm going to go here. This is what we're going to do. And the two, do they line up? That's the least of my concern. I don't know what I said to this team 2 weeks ago. And what I'm saying, I'm talking about what I'm excited about. You got to have that layer in between that says, okay, we'll take what he said, we'll systemize it and create. And I am visionary of visionary. I have very little operational in me. And so anyone who's listening right now, really analyze that about yourself, because if you're getting started with a company, you could be starting off on the wrong foot from day one. Because visionaries, I know I can speak as a visionary. I can't speak as an integrator, but visionaries hate being integrators. I don't want to do that. It is painful. I think the other way you could still do it, right? I think integrators could still be visionaries, but it does not work the other way around.
It does not at all. Yep. If you're full on, you just can't do it.
So listen, right now, I'm going to ask you a fun question because you've done agency, you've done e-commerce, you said you do masterminds, you're doing digital stuff now, right? You guys are selling courses, content, you have a brokerage. I happen to know behind the scenes that you've told me you guys are working on a SaaS. That pretty much covers the spectrum of what you can do on the internet. All right, so I'm going to put you on the line here. I'm curious, which is your favorite? Right now, if you lost it all and you could only build one type of business, what type of business would you come out and build?
So I say it like this. There's a checking and a savings account, right? In everybody, right? So digital high ticket is your checking account. E-commerce is your savings account. If you want to have an e-commerce business and you think you're just going to cash flow it out, you're not. It's a side hustle. It's a fun little drop ship thing. But if you want to build a real company, the more money you make in e-commerce, the more money you have to spend. It's just an unfortunate reality. But you'll make it all in strides if you can sell the company. That's why I call it a savings account. You have to have something that makes sense, that can cash flow you a little bit. I always tell people in our mastermind, listen, make some content, sell some consulting, some coaching. You'll offset yourself from the stress of I can't pay myself. I got to pay this. I got new inventory. We're scaling, blah, blah, blah. So that's your checking. You feel comfortable and safe. You can keep the momentum on the other one. And then the other one is your savings account. You put your heart and soul and all your money gets reinvested into that business so it can scale up, and you sell that business for a good multiple, right? You're not going to sell a digital business that has your face on it. Very, very difficult to do. The EBITDAs are very small on that. E-commerce, you can sell it. People are picking them up, especially now. A bunch of aggregators focused on just that. So I think those are my two favorites if I had to say.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. I always say, so when I'm coaching, I will say it's the exact same thing, but I like your way of saying it almost more. I say value business and income business. And where you go wrong is if you try to suck the wrong thing out of the wrong type. So I've tried to suck value out of an income business, destroyed it. And if you try to suck income out of a value business, you'll destroy it. It's just not going to work. So know what the business is and build it to that tune. And you're absolutely 1000% correct. I've now gotten to a place where I've started to separate things and, hey, that's my income business. That's my value business. So, okay. So you said high ticket, kind of mastermind / coaching, and e-commerce. Those are your two favorites. So have you ever put a number to how much you've done online since you started? If you had a gun to your head right now, it's how many hundreds of millions have you generated in revenue or whatever? Have you ever thought about it, put a number to it?
I've probably got about $500 million with me and clients.
Yeah, and clients. That's incredible, man. So in the world of, I guess I want to talk to you a little bit about your brokerage, just because I'm personally curious. And then I want to come and talk to you about predictions. I think we'll spend most of our time there. So when we first spoke, you mentioned to me like, hey, I have a brokerage hub. And I found that very intriguing because like I've been really evaluating personally what my investment strategy is going to be in the future, right? I'm like, I've been really attracted towards real estate, especially commercial real estate. It's drawing me in. But I've also been really attracted to like the, not private equity, quote unquote, but more just business rotation, right? Coming into a company, helping it out, and then selling it. And company, that's the fun stuff. Everything else around it sucks. I enjoy taking an idea, scaling it, getting rid of it. As soon as it gets to a place where it has to be managed, it's not my strong suit. I'd rather bring in other people who are better at that. So what is your brokerage like? Did that just come out of thin air? Did you plan that? Like, what are you guys doing? Tell me more about this brokerage.
Josh texted me one day and said, hey, I've been looking at this brokerage for a few years. It's for sale. Let's buy it. I said, all right. That was it. We didn't even know the price. We didn't know anything. And then we figured it out. And then I was like, all right, well, how does this fit in the roadmap of our brands? Right. Yeah. And so with Powerhouse, which is our e-com mastermind, what we want to do is kind of be the all-inclusive, like everything that no other group gives you. Every mastermind you probably have gone to on e-commerce, they're like, hey, here's how you scale Facebook. And then they get a Pinterest guy. And then that's kind of it. Right. So we wanted to we give you consulting, coaching, all these things, but then we build services on the back. So we have lifetime value, a lifetime value service company that helps you. We have Powerhouse Support, which is American-based customer support people for you. We have Powerhouse Accounting because most people's numbers are off. And so we built kind of like a flywheel of services to support the modern entrepreneur. And then what made sense is like, we're teaching people how to scale these businesses. Why don't we just help them sell it? And so that's why we bought DealFlow, the brokerage. And it's made us learn a ton, right? Through that, we're getting a lot of bigger opportunities of investing and advising. We looked into doing a rolling fund, but we decided it's just not really that profitable. It's more like a flex, but we don't care about that. But it's interesting how people buy, the EBITDAs, the multiples, how you categorize your business is very important. All these little intricacies and nuances have made us better entrepreneurs and like what we focus on, what the time is. And it really gives you a pulse on the market, who's buying what's cracking, what's working, and what people are not really that interested in. So with the brokerage, honestly, that is a savings account. Like it makes money. It's a passive business. We help people scale their business here, then we help them sell it here, and we get a small percentage just for being, the middleman and supporting people on that.
Oh my God, I wish we had 2 hours. There's so much to unpack there. So first and foremost, cool that it's kind of ironic and cool that you bought a brokerage. So, and that's how you got into the business of it. And I noticed this right away when we first spoke. I kind of saw your guys' evil master plan. And I was like, I see what they're doing in e-com. It's you graduate. So it's like, bring in the beginner. Hey, we'll help you get a business set up. Oh, now your business is set up and you're making some money here. We'll help you scale it. Oh, now you're scaling it, but you really want to become an 8-figure brand. Hey, join our mastermind. We'll help you scale to an 8-figure master brand. Oh, and now you've become an 8-figure brand. Hey, come to our brokerage. We'll help you sell it. So it's like, that's awesome. It's brilliant because you're supporting them, helping them, but you're also monetizing. So at the beginning, at the low level here, your LTV is nuts, right? Like you can spend so much money to acquire someone into your ecosystem. I just 5 minutes on this topic because it, again, personally is very relevant to me where I've been the last year. You said by buying a brokerage, you found a lot of intricacies in a business, such as how you do your books, how you label your business, and how you categorize. No one ever talks about this, but this is a big thing I've learned over the last year and a half too, is I got a whole new meaning to the phrase begin with the end in mind. And to talk a little bit to those things, like give some examples of that. I know them, but I want their listeners to hear it.
I'll give you an example. We have one of our businesses, now that we've learned a lot, one of our businesses, and this is true, you can fact check it, whatever, but one of our businesses is SMS marketing as a service for e-commerce entrepreneurs. We're partners with a company called Postscript. We're their premier person. We send them the most leads. Like they're a big venture-backed company from the Valley. And it's a service business at the end of the day, right? You scale it to whatever you want to scale it to. You're going to get 2-3 times max. It's nothing crazy, right? So we worked with them and said, hey, we want to turn this into a little bit more, build better dashboards, build a better flow that connects with you guys as an integration, and turn it into a software that gives you data analytics and kind of like a better opportunity to understand your revenue per mailing, per text, right? Kind of like an email system with that, with better dashboards and logic. They're helping us do that. And once we create the software side of that, it's now a MarTech platform, right? We're having managed services plus like AI plus technology on software. That business can go for 20 times revenue, right? All we had to do is build, it's going to cost $200,000 to build it all out the right way. But we could have, we could sell the business for $9 million, a couple of times revenue, or we could sell the business for 150 million, by 2026, which is our goal to do, right? Because we realized, oh, well, if we categorize this and do this, connect with these people, that's going to blow it up. Okay, great. The other thing, we have an event business. I don't really even call it a mastermind. I call it a consulting company with 4 events, right? Because we realized that if we start systemizing it in a different way, we can actually sell to a Clarion or a different company as an event company. And we have other masterminds as well that we're partners in. So we could roll that up and do a roll up, basically grab all your groups and do all that and sell that as one event company to a bigger conglomerate for a bigger valuation, a 10 times valuation. So those little intricacies, like most people be like, well, I can't sell my mastermind. You actually can. And you can connect with a few other people to even make that a roll up and get a bigger piece of that pie, right? So crazy stuff that people don't think about, but you kind of have to hit a certain level to be thinking in that place. You know what I mean?
It's so true. Like, so we're talking right now and people are like, yeah. I know so many are like, yeah. And it's fine. And 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now, you'll remember this conversation and you're like, God dang it, but then you'll have learned that lesson for yourself and you'll never do it again. So 100%. So let's look at Lurn as an example. Okay, everyone. If I had done this as a recurring company where we charge rebill, it's much harder. Okay. Your cost per acquisition is high. You bleed and hurt in the beginning. It's painful. You're not going to be super profitable, but over time, what would have happened is my valuation for a company like Lurn will be significantly different than the fact that we're different. Now we're super profitable. We're growing super quickly. Most novice minds would actually think that super profitable and super fast growth, that's enough. That should determine a multiple. It's actually not. It's the type of revenue. It's how assured is that revenue to the buyer. And so now all of a sudden I'm looking through those lenses, everything I've learned, because we had a company. I was a co-founder of a business that did do a big VC raise. And so I've been playing in this world for a couple of years now. And so as I get ready to think about my next business, it's so crazy because I'll hear myself say, I'm not going to spend that time building that. That's going to sell for 1 to 2x of revenue. Right. And it takes the same amount of time and energy to build that business as it does this one, and this will sell for 10 or 15. The other thing, everyone, is 20 years ago, this wasn't the case. The valuations have been separating a lot more as the internet matures and as, user behavior changes. So for those of you looking to start a company, a business with an exit in mind, something to think about is look up what type of business you are and what are the valuations for those businesses. Go check them out and make sure you're happy with that. But all right, Los, let's get into predictions. This is interesting. You've been around the block. You've been in this space for 15 years. I've been in this space for 20. We were talking about cycles before we started recording. You are predicting a major shift coming that people need to hear about. What is it?
So for the past, I would probably say 6 years, maybe 7 years, high ticket has been the play, right? Everyone used to, back in the day, if you haven't been in the industry, I know that we have, and we can probably attest to this. It used to be ascension-based offers, tripwires, to ascension-based to bring people in and just live off the email list and then try to have like a big back end, right? And that was kind of it. You just go for volume, huge affiliate. Everyone's, commingling revenues because everyone's selling the same thing, blah, blah, blah. Then it turned into, we're doing high ticket. High ticket is 3,000 to 5,000, turned into 5,000 to 10,000. And that ran, everyone stopped and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. The industry as a whole said, this is what we're going to buy. And everyone buys 5, 10, 15, 25,000, all the way up to $50,000 things on that ascension. That's lasted us about 5, 6 years. And if you looked at it on a trending cycle, it's been trending down. It's harder. The economy is changing. The market is K-shaped. There's super rich people, and the people that need more are getting less. So these people are trending up. They're looking for more. These people can't afford where they used to be able to try to hit that dream system at. And so what's happening now is like all those people are starting to be in the middle. They've bought everyone. They bought you, me, John, Pete, Tom, Taylor. It doesn't matter. So now they're either doing it or they've not done it, but bought enough to where they don't want to do it again. And the people coming up don't have those budgets. So how do we acquire people? Well, you can go up market or you can go down market. Down market would be freelancers. If you used to work with coaches and consultants, you go to freelancers. If you used to do e-com for people that are doing 20, 30,000, you got to teach them e-commerce now. If you're teaching people how to do high ticket coaching consulting, you got to start with like, here's how you build a digital product, right? And so you're going down market. Then the middle is going to offset itself. It's not going to be as powerful. I actually believe you can go from here, a longer cycle, instead of 6 months to go to like 5K, you're going to take 9 months to go to 20K because you're really supporting the person. And the people that were here, instead of going down, you're going to want to trend up. They don't have the time for a mastermind. They've been in 6 or 7. They buy 2 a year anyways. They're just yours isn't it right now, but they need it done. They need systems and operations. So they just want to hire the people. So services, I think, are going to go really, really big. And I've consulted with a few guys in the digital space doing 8 figures that are like, dude, we need ad services right now because no one's buying the other stuff. And down market to recapture new audiences and to build a fresher list that's not as jaded as what we've had for the past few years. I think this is exactly what it's going to happen. In my personal opinion, obviously I could be wrong, but I really don't think I am, because I've seen webinars take their cycle, ascension models take their cycle, high ticket, affiliates, launches. It all goes cyclical and then it comes back.
1000% agreed, everyone. So I am on the record. My team has heard me saying this, so they know they can vouch for me. 2008 is what I'm going to bring everyone's attention to. And the way it works in our internet marketing space is that we're a little delayed, okay? From the economy to the impact on our space, we're a little bit delayed. So in 2008, market collapses, things happen, and by end of 2008, it's still looking okay. You start to see the fizzle out. Some people, affiliates leave, people implode, little things, but mostly you're still holding it together. And by mid to end of 2009, nothing was working. Things weren't converting. Affiliates were gone. Launches people weren't showing up. Things weren't converting. And by 2010 and 11, it was bad. I mean, that was the time when I fell 1.7 million in debt. Everyone knows the story. I talk about it all the time. And the way I came out of it, God knows who would ever think, was by using a $47 product in the personal development space with a video sales letter, completely fundamentally different from what we were doing. And then that became the thing, man, for 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, you would have big $1 million affiliate driven launches on a $47 front end product. 100%. And then in 2013, I ended up having this huge audience of people that are buying my $37, $47 products. And I was like, gosh, maybe I'll launch. This is where Inbox Blueprint was born, everybody. It was a $300, $400 offer. I sold millions in it. I'm like, uh-oh. And then that happened to be the industry kind of recovered, the economy recovered. And then that was when the webinar was really born. It was like people started just doing webinars in 997s. March 2020, when the whole pandemic stuff happened, I told my team, I said, guys, I think this is it. We got to go low ticket. Now, I was wrong, because the economy did not do what I thought it was going to do. Because I did not expect the government to pump in trillions of dollars. But the rooster has to come home, or whatever that saying is, right? Like, we're all, even today, as we're filming this, I was expecting the market to drop today, but it didn't. Like, we are all just hanging on by a thread of this optimism. Like, let's all keep pushing each other up. But like, the crap is going to unfold at some point. And we've also had, like, I'm watching this trend. And so I'm only sharing this, Lowe's, because I would love your feedback, or if you disagree with me at any point. I see comp and jobs going to an unsustainable level. Now you're starting to see big businesses releasing really bad income reports because their comp and salary and human cost, labor cost has gone through the roof. Goldman and Sachs issued a big thing about that. They almost all their profits went to that. I think you're going to see a rollback in that. I think companies are going to get hurt in the markets, and they're going to Peloton just let go of 2,800 people.
2,800 people.
Yeah, and so this is it. This is the beginning, right? And when that happens, people don't want to spend $1,000, $2,000 impulsively on a webinar. That's what we saw years ago. The other trend I'm seeing, everybody, is being a media buyer, is you can't go wide. You can't go cold audiences when your first product you're selling to that cold market is $1,000. And so that makes you stay in this one closed off market, which is exactly what Los said. They eventually burn out on those priced offers. So you need to continue expanding market, but the only way you're going to do that is by creating an offer that they feel comfortable impulsively purchasing, which isn't a $1,000 offer. Now, the challenge for everybody, it's great to talk about this. So Los, what do you think about this? The challenge is ad costs are still high, and anyone who's venturing off into the low ticket has to be ready to bleed for a little while before they break profit. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's true or no?
I totally believe that's true. I think that this is going to be, I think the future of what comes out of these next few years is going to be business owners, not marketers. I think that the guys that had the up and down, like I'm a high ticket coach, I made 2 million net, whatever, bro, see you later. You're gone. Cause you're also, what you did? You bought a Lambo truck, and you didn't go test $200,000 on YouTube. And you didn't go pay the best video sales guy on TikTok. You didn't test all these efforts because you think you rode a gravy train. Because we've ridden gravy trains and saw them go away, we were terrified and said, no, let's double down. I think that the people that are going to win, unfortunately, but truthfully, are the people that are not wanting, not only just to not get rich quick. The people, if you started a business today, I'd be happy. Like, I know you're seeing all these like millions. I'd be happy with 5, 10K a month, man. And then the rest is going into brand. It's never mattered before, matters more than ever now. Community, content, that's what's going to get you your conversions. So we call it in here, we call it C4, content, community, conversations, then you get conversions. That's the only way. Is it slower? Yes. Is it more expensive? 100%. Is it less immediate dopamine? Like you don't see the hits? Yes. But other than that, you're going to pay for Facebook. It's not going to deliver what you want. You're going to have to bleed out. You don't have a back end. You got to start putting more time into things like, content and YouTube and podcast. And yeah, that you might see that result in a year and a half. But if you don't do this, you don't have a business anymore, bro. The days of like that easy stuff, that's just gone away.
It's what I told my team at Lurn. I said, in a couple months, we need to get fully content focused. And everyone, I'll give you an analytical reason why. Fact-driven, data-driven, demographic-driven. Our younger generations, or millennials and younger, they grew up in Web 2. They grew up in conversation and constant engagement. One could argue maybe too much, constantly being connected to things. So you said this, brand value is more important today than it ever was. Brand value is everything, because especially the younger generations, that's what they're looking at first. I don't buy, do you know how many times I've been in a store now? We're laughing about this because we're out furniture shopping for the nursery. Do you know how many times I can hear other people taking pictures and saying, I'll research that and buy it online. I'm petrified for retail stores. Like, who's buying there? I genuinely go to look at it so that I can then punch that into the internet, read what everyone has to say about it, and make a decision to purchase it or not. And also use that search to see what other products are similar. Like, we are such a different consumer today than we were 20 years ago. And to that conversation, you're 1000% correct. The brands that win are the ones that are going to invest in time and creating healthy, good content. And you know what? They're going to be the ones that put themselves out there. And if they have a crappy product, you can't hide. The days of hiding are gone. So if you're doing consulting and your clients aren't getting results, you can't hide that. It's gone. Like, there's a group about you where your clients are talking about you right now that people will find. So you're 1000% correct. That I want everyone to think, like, if you're building a business right now, what is your content strategy? Even though I love paid media, I'm a paid media guy. I spend $1 million a month on paid ads. But I've also started to realize our ROAS is dropping, and our team will say it's because the cost per click is going up. And I'm like, that's true. But we're also not adapting fast enough to how people want to buy now, which is buy the user, but win their trust. It used to be you buy the user and trust, it just comes in, but you buy them, put them in your system, but then, man, you got to work them to get them to like you and trust you. And so what a different way of thinking. And you think this is the same with e-commerce too?
Yeah, I do. I think it doesn't matter. Like people want to buy. Also, I think with e-commerce, the businesses that don't have a face are going to have less success because people want a brand. They want a person. They want vision. They want results. They want to connect more than ever. They want to connect to the person. And if you're not doing these things, it's even harder in e-commerce. Like, man, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah, that's the industry you want to be in, man. It's going to be the hardest. Thank God that we're where we are, and we learned this before. I don't know how easy it would be to just start nowadays. Now, can you do it? Yes. It's just you got to be more patient. And that's the thing, like every other ad, that's why you don't like Facebook. Every other ad and every other thing just shows you how to be impatient, successful, and rich. And that's just not true, man. Like I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, that's just not the truth. It's hard and it takes work, and you might have to take out a loan. But if you believe in what you're doing and what you're creating, then you'll have success. But the people that are successful have longevity.
It's very true. Patience is one thing I suck at. I've been working on the most. I'm publicly saying that to everybody. I have noticed a skill. I've noticed a trend amongst the wealthiest I know, and I've been upgrading my network lately. And it's one that slapped me across the face. The wealthiest, most successful people I know are the least stressed out, least anxious, and least rushed. There is no FOMO. They let things play out the way they're supposed to. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it's meant to be, it will. And I'm shocked. You would think it's the other way around, and it really isn't. The most successful don't believe in pushing and pulling. It's like we let things take a flow. We guide. We just kind of nudge them along to the direction, but let it take its own course. So powerful stuff. Los, it's been an awesome interview. I know that, you've got something coming up too. Where can people learn more about you, about your brands, about what you're doing? Throw some URLs, throw some social media out. I want everyone here who's listening to follow you.
The best two ways is ecompowerhouse.com and then at Los Hustle on Insta. I reply to everybody. It's me. It's not some person selling you stuff. We can talk. Happy to help and guide people. I do a lot of just quick conversations with people and try to support them. So if you guys want to talk, at Los Hustle, and if not, go to ecompowerhouse.com. And that's it.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. Really, really fun conversation, man. I mean, this was next level stuff that you can. Yeah, we do. We definitely do. It's fun to talk to someone who's been through the cycles, because you could tell, right? It's not just something you read in a book. It's the advice that comes from having lived and bled during the down times and knowing. You're absolutely right. I keep so much money in the bank account, and I'm constantly testing new things because I know for a fact, there's one fact in business, and that's what's working today will not be working a year from now. That is a guarantee. And it's either we evolve and are constantly ahead of it, or we wither and die. And that's just the reality, everybody. We accept it. So there you go, everyone. ecompowerhouse.com or at Los Hustle on Insta. And he said he'll reply himself. So there's that. There's onicpodcast.com to binge listen to more of our episodes. Click subscribe if you're on YouTube below right now. Click like. Come on, leave us a comment. If you're on any of the other channels, make sure you subscribe and leave us some great feedback so we can get this podcast out to even more. This is Anik Singal reminding you, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. Come on, let's go out there and make those dreams happen. See you later.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.